Good late Thursday, early Friday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at those temperatures across the region here toward that 2 o'clock hour. You see 50s here in a lot of spots. It's probably, the next several hours. The last time you're going to see temperatures this cool here for a little while, as you'll see in that 7-day forecast. I know, what nice weather conditions there in terms of the meteorology there on that Thursday across our region. Now, it wasn't the same story up toward like Iowa and Nebraska where they had big hail, some tornadic activity, even a tornado emergency that we had to cut in for as we were looking up there earlier on in the evening hours. I know we're right here, it's just darker now down to 54, so pretty nice, but it's going to get warm and it's going to be pretty dry, and that could be a problem here as we'll look at that in just a few moments here as we're looking at things in toward the weather center as we're just monitoring the overall scenario here. I know, as you see Tallahassee on the map, of course, if you weren't with me earlier on and if you weren't with me, posting updates on Facebook, Twitter/X, and then just, all the media coverage there from variety of outlets to the afternoon and evening, just a terrible, terrible tragedy occurred toward the Florida State University campus there just before about 12 o'clock there toward the student union. Gunmen opened fire apparently, and we had fatalities there reported. Just absolutely terrible to see in my alma mater there. I know when I was there in 2014, there was a shooting toward the library there, Treasure Library, and this, brings back memories of that. And this time we had 2 innocent victims as of the last update there from officials lose their life in this. 2 innocent victims losing their life and other innocent folks being injured there as well. Just absolutely terrible as we look toward that area. It's just absolutely heartbreaking to see that there. And now second time in about 10 and a half, years or so. I was there in 2014. It's dark this time around in 2025. But, when I was there, before I graduated, that was just a terrible thing that happened there. I could hear the gunfire from my room. I was late at night. This one was when there were even more people around, though. That one was at night when we actually had a hard freeze, as I recall. This time the weather was beautiful, but everything just turned so tragic. As good as the weather was, it was just a terrible, terrible thing to occur there toward FSU, toward Florida State University, as we're looking at things. And let's just go ahead and pull up a few traffic cameras in the region right now. I know it's 2 in the morning when we're doing this update, so it generally wouldn't be a whole bunch out anyway on a Thursday night. Maybe a Friday night you would see some, but it's pretty quiet around. Some folks heading home for the Easter weekend because classes were, canceled there for Friday. There's going to be a prayer vigil at 5 o'clock. Weather looks good for that, but let's go ahead and see a look right now. This traffic camera, you see one vehicle going by Pensacola Street and Woodward Avenue in the Florida 511 perspective. As we're looking at things here, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. This is right there toward the edge of campus, but just an absolutely terrible, terrible thing that happened there toward Florida State University in Tallahassee, the state capital. I know this is just one vantage point of things. Let me go ahead and pull up another vantage point toward the edge of the campus area as well, as we kind of go back on over. Of course, pray for FSU, FSU United. I know those are some of the same phrases used back when I was there in 2014. When I heard those sides from Cawthon Hall, where, that was just really close to where that library was. And at first, wasn't exactly sure what was going on because the heater was running so loud there in 2014 because it was just so cold. Temperatures in the 20s around. It was one of the colder nights in my 4 years there, to be quite honest. And I wasn't out. I was in my room, but I had been out a week before that time doing some different work there for classes and the like that utilized some special computer equipment, editing and the like. So, again, just absolutely, just absolutely heartbreaking here to hear about the reports and see all the stories, and see FSU meteorology students, FSU weather students go through this, a number of them on the different media broadcasts, both local, regional, national here on that Thursday. My thoughts and prayers out to you if any of you are watching this here. My thoughts and prayers, of course, out to those, those families of those that lost their life, those severely injured, just based on, I know the reports have been a little bit, not 100% on the level of the injuries of the ones injured, but for those severely injured, I'm keeping you in my thoughts and prayers as we're looking at that situation there as well. So, just everybody in the whole FSU community, my thoughts and prayers out to you here during this very difficult time. As another event here, reminiscent in some ways at least of 2014 there, and that terrible tragedy that occurred when I was there at Scherzer Library. Just absolutely awful. I mean, there's not many words, you can just say after, you see all the images here and the like that come on out of these areas here. Let's go ahead and show you guys Pensacola Street and Woodward Avenue. This is really getting out there, but with the video. But that's just a view there on the traffic camera. That just kind of tells that story a little bit as we're looking at things, as we're tracking things here. And we'll go out to Tennessee Street with a look. Let me get out to Tennessee there and Macomb. I know some of the different broadcasters showing this shot there. Okay, it's actually a little bit busy on this here at 2:20 something in the morning as we look out here. Giving you this look at things. It's kind of, tells a story here, as I know this is not too far away from where, tragedy happened. Road blocked off earlier on. FSU united here and at the whole country. Whether it's those that are not associated with FSU or FSU alumni, we're all united here tonight. FSU students, FSU faculty, staff, employees, in some way or another. Just everybody in the whole FSU community here. It's just a terrible, terrible tragedy. As we look out there, I know it's crazy to have the weather so nice, and yet, there's so much heartache there tonight toward the state capital of Florida and Leon County. Honestly, if you're not watching this on demand, I know I do my updates kind of late. We're having to get some of those latest updates in and the like, Storm Prediction Center, and we'll get into that in a moment. But, some of you watching right now might be having trouble getting to sleep because of the events that transpired about 14 and a half hours ago. So, just awful. I know there's numbers, that you can reach out to associated with Florida State University if you need to talk with somebody during this difficult time. Even just having to, I didn't have to go through this aspect of it. I was in my residence hall, is safe and secured, but, some folks had to have their hands up being, escorted out as police had their weapons drawn. It's just a terrible, terrible thing to have to think about, the whole situation all together as we're looking at things here tonight. Just absolutely terrible, absolutely terrifying as we're looking there toward Leon County and Florida State University. I know it's a minor note compared to what happened, of course, but FSU baseball, FSU softball, those athletic events are all canceled for the weekend. Folks, it's time to try to just comprehend and, unpack what has happened there, and potentially have to deal with friends that are, in the hospital, or even, just some folks, that are just in the FSU community that, were impacted by this. So, as we get back to weather now, though, it's hard to move on from a topic so tragic and somber like that, but let me go ahead and get on over toward the weather now. That's what we're here for with this update. We do have some severe thunderstorm mornings in Iowa as we're looking at things right now. Omaha earlier on, they got hit so hard as we were looking. Now we have some severe thunderstorm warnings to the north there of Omaha. A couple of them on the board as we're looking at things there. One around the Sioux City area. You have half-dollar size hail potential. That was a bigger story coming into Thursday, but we ended up having a tornado emergency issued there in southwest Iowa after we had 4 in tail reported, not in Omaha, directly, but in the region there. That was, something that was a little bit more of a possibility than a strong violent tornado, though. Haven't had a whole bunch of information on that yet, but Golf Ball says hail possible around the community of Storm Lake, Iowa. Then as we look here toward southwest of Davenport, we have another severe thunderstorm warning. This one's for 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. And then that day on Friday, you see that green area, that's a 2% tornado risk that goes all the way from Wisconsin and getting into ward areas there around, it looks like San Angelo, Texas. And then within that, there's a 5% tornado risk that includes Oklahoma City. It includes Moore there and Norman and all those highly populated areas, El Reno, and you see down toward Lawton there and Wichita Falls. As we're looking there in that 5% tornado risk, they get a tornado watch there. And as we zoom out here, the slight risk though covers a wide area for hazards that are, dealing with hail there. That includes St. Louis and areas towards Chicago. Wind risk, not too far different in that area. So that's kind of a storyline there right now as we're tracking things, as we're looking at things. I know threats going to continue toward the center of the country towards Saturday and Sunday as well, but we're not really going to get much from this here as we look locally. I know, just watching the center of the country. So, gotta watch out when there's tornado watches in play. Be ready to get to that basement. Those mobile homes are not safe structures, or, even a tornado shelter, but not a mobile home. As you see when a warning's issued, you just want to make sure you're getting it inside a sturdy building, in a basement, storm shelter, but not a mobile home. As you want to put many walls there as possible between you and the outside there, a sturdy structure. Put as many walls as possible between you and the outside by being in a sturdy structure. As we go ahead and look on now that rainfall forecast. Look at all that rain toward Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Joplin there, Springfield area, even some of North Texas. We could be talking about, some pretty noteworthy flooding, a half foot of rain possible. We're not turning the logo red for alert, of course, with the garnet and gold logo because of the tragedy at FSU, but we're not seeing a criteria being met for an alert logo yet, even though we had that emergency. That was kind of a one-off, it seems, for now, but things could still, change, and that becomes a bigger storyline in terms of the weather. We'll continue to monitor, but you see North Florida, South Georgia there, and not looking like too much rain. I mean, you can go to clutter.com/radar for an interactive look at things. That, threat goes all the way in terms of not much rain, Central Florida, South Florida, and unfortunately now, I don't know if I really hardly ever had to use this graphic here on our broadcast, but the drought is really starting to become an issue for portions of the area. Now, there were some wildfire concerns, certain regions, Central Florida, I believe even out toward the Panama City area, if I recall, back on that Thursday, that viewing circle per se. But, southeastern Marion County within our area, I know that's pretty rural, but, that means there's a lot of, unfortunately, areas there that could have some concern here. We really need to start getting rain because, as in the forecast, this is current, meaning it's just going to worsen until we get rain. Toward Marion, Flagler, Putnam, we're starting to get a moderate to even severe drought in parts of our southern fringes. Stark, not so much, but still have had some fire concerns, so be careful, really. Got to be very mindful of the dew point values, the winds, when the dew points are low and or the winds are high, and the temperatures are up there. That's a problem. Don't burn. And some areas, have to be watching for, burn bans, even in some cases, if you're looking toward even South Florida, an extreme drought. That's really dangerous. Just south of Lake Okeechobee, you see a severe drought for very highly populated areas, like in Broward County. Parts of, it looks like, areas there in that region, as we're looking there, and then even Palm Beach County, a little bit worse. You have Miami-Dade County, some covered by that too. You have some Southwest Florida getting over toward Naples, problem. So that's kind of a storyline there with the drought. I know some of these areas, maybe, you see it on Tampa, some of these areas I don't know if it's directly from this, but, we had Hurricane Milton last October, and that might be helping us out a little bit in some of these spots, not having much to drought. Other patterns too maybe playing a role. But as we go ahead and look at our covered area, of course, Bradford County was where we are at, weather center, but Leon County is part of our 62 counties, and there's just been so much heartache there, so much stress, so much concern there. I mean, you had FAMU concerned there. They were worried about everything, making changes to the class schedule. Tallahassee State College, and I know Florida State Capitol, from what I saw media reports, on lockdown at one point. Leon County schools were on lockdown, so a very, very stressful situation, And these scenarios are just awful, and the tips, we don't really want to talk about it too much because it's just something you never want to think about. It's not like the weather where, we can show you stuff on a radar and you kind of understand what could happen, but the tips there, it really are run, hide, and fight there, as, kind of short as that might sound per se. Run from the danger if you can. And then if you're kind of in a spot where you're maybe cornered or trapped, you want to hide. And then the worst case, last, chance type situation, you want to fight, potentially fighting for your life. As some folks, sadly, they didn't make it. They didn't make it toward Leon County, and that's just absolutely tragic. I mean, we've had other tragedies there over the years as well. The yoga studio shooting there involved some FSU community members there back several years ago that lost their life. And we had the shooting when I was there in 2014 in the library. No innocent victims lost their life in that, but as I recall, one member of the community, then one student, I believe it was, ended up being paralyzed. So just absolutely awful. It's absolutely awful here. As we're looking here at our map and of our area, we're always on for any tornado warning storms within the 62 counties here. And fog's a threat too. You can see this. Slow down and give yourself extra time to reach your destination when that's around. It's important to pay attention to fog. Just make sure your vehicle is as visible as possible to other vehicles by using your low beam headlights, and leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you. And then let's see that 7-day forecast. Of course, that visual at 5 o'clock toward Langford Green there on the Florida State University campus. We had a visual back in 2014. And when the shooting happened when I was there, I didn't go there, but I just remember, the storylines, people were just trying to come together as a community. Some folks, will be doing the same this time around. I know some folks were leaving town because it is the holiday weekend, or ended up being because of the tragedy, a little bit more time away, from class, and just really folks wanted to go home to hug their parents and their family members. They're still here, the ones that got to go home, but some folks, they didn't make it. Some folks, hospitalized as well. As you see here, 86 for the high on that Good Friday holiday. 87 there on Saturday. Easter Sunday, 87. It's getting warm quick, and that's a problem for the drought. The weather, it's pretty nice overall. As we're looking here, as we just have to deal with, tragedy, and hopefully folks, and the ones that were injured, innocent victims, hopefully they can make a full recovery here, those innocent victims. As we're looking here toward next week, the rain chances go up a little, but really not much rain, maybe some scattered convection. We had that hailstorm in Gainesville last Friday, but that was a little bit bigger chance there. We had 60% on the forecast, but you see 88, 89, give or take. It's really getting above average here. We would have the averages starting to go up some, but the averages are for today, the 18th. But, as we're looking here, as we're tracking, it's a situation where, the weather, there's clouds that come in at points, but this is weather that's not, something that's too bad. But, it's a different thought when you're in the community there, I'm sure, at Florida State. Whether it's good weather or bad weather, this time around the weather doesn't fit that mood here. Just that feeling of somberness. as we're looking toward the Florida State University campus. And I know it's going to be tough. I mean, when I was there in 2014 at the Strozer Library area, I was in my dorm residence hall at Cawthon there, but it's a situation there where you have to walk past where something terrible happened. It was a week before Thanksgiving then, and it's something that always sticks with you. Now, 2 different spots on campus because that library is still there. The Union's different from when I was there. So I did last year when I was there for some baseball games around the beginning of June. Saw the new Union for the first time, and already now, forever it's a fairly new building's opened in the last couple of years, give or take. And when people see that, they're always going to think about what happened. Just like the Strozer Library, I still remember 11 years ago, seeing the picture of the boarded up window there at the library there from 2014. What happened. No innocent folks lost their life, but some innocent lives, are changed forever. The suspect in that situation, they did die there, but they were killed by police, but as they needed to take action very quickly there, as back in 2014. But again, just remember everything in the wake of that there toward Tallahassee, all the media there, and something you don't really want to have to talk about that much again, but we'll just see the campus here on our maps. Again, I didn't see anything back then, but heard it, heard the sounds back in 2014 there, very close by. I mean, first floor right by this, residence hall right there, across the way from the front of the Union. And then, had the media there. There were so many reporters from whether it's Jacksonville or down in Central Florida, South Georgia, all coming in there to cover the situation. You see them outside, you look out your window, and there they are. I mean, back in 2014, all the news trucks right there. Even at night, I remember the following night, you could see their lights were all on the green there, and their lights, they were just, they were kind of coming in the window at times, even, the following night, Thursday night and the Friday. So just always think about that there, obviously, and just what happened toward that area back in 2014, November 2014, as we're looking toward Tallahassee and Leon County. Just something that you'll never forget. Let's go ahead and kind of right in the picture now. You can see 50s here in most spots, but some 60 type readings, and then even closer toward those 70 numbers there toward the First Coast region in southeast Georgia. So that variability is there, but as we get closer into that summertime pattern, eventually we'll get those pop-up storms. Not really too much yet, but eventually we'll have that around, and you'll have, more humid nights. You saw it kind of in the forecast. I said the numbers are going up. Not saying we're getting like 70 yet for the overnight low, but we're going to be getting there as we're looking at things, as we're tracking there, as we're monitoring things in the period ahead. So let's see if there's anything else I need to talk about here tonight from the Weather Center. I think I pretty much covered. Of course, we're going to be watching the weather nationally here in the days to come. We'll be watching the weather nationally here in the days to come. And I'll be back as warranted here for that storyline. Obviously, there is a potential for some significant hail in this corridor on that Friday. Abilene, Wichita Falls, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. Could be some pretty big hail here as we're looking ahead and toward the timeline. So just gotta be prepared for that, as this could be pretty damaging. Hopefully not 4 inches, but 2-3 inches. Something that's definitely in the potential in the period ahead. Maybe later on. Let me see the model guidance here real quick. I mean, I'll see at 2 o'clock Central Time. It's not so much at that point. And I'll broaden this even. Take the current temperatures away. You see some mornings and night up there in Iowa, but you see this development. This is not going to really start getting going. You see somewhere on St. Louis at like 6 o'clock. Honestly, I gotta go to the extended here for this. So it's still pretty far away, even though maybe you wouldn't think that directly. Sometimes this stuff can catch you off guard, but it's, I mean, it's still in some light rain at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Central 7. You see some stuff popping up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So Friday night plans could be impacted there. You know, southern Oklahoma, Ardmore, Ada. You see this north of Oklahoma City maybe, but it could be in Oklahoma City. It could be more in Tulsa. You never know. It's around 11 p.m. Central Time. Late night acts in there. You see St. Louis, and then at night you see some stuff moving through in northern Arkansas. Apparent there. So that's, you know, way into the night there. And then this gets you into, you know, that Saturday, some of that rain coming in. And that could be pretty prevalent here as we're looking at things. As we're tracking things here in the Weather Center, and that could lead to that flash flood threat we talked about. So remember, Turn Around, Don't Drown. We had that terrible event just going back a couple weeks ago, and you know, so many folks impacted. As you see right now, some hail around Sioux City to the north and west, inch and a quarter in diameter. That was around, let's see, 1:25 a.m. Central Time. So as we're continuing to look at things, as we're continuing to check things here, as we keep you look at some of our maps, obviously. Just trying to keep you up to date here on what we're talking about here in the meteorology and the like. And again, my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody impacted, all the innocent folks impacted, and the families, friends of innocent folks, you know, whether, you know, they actually were impacted in terms of injured or not. My thoughts and prayers go out to all the innocent folks in the FSU community. And just a terrible, terrible event that I'm going to be remembering years and probably decades down the line. Have a great night, the best you can. At least stay safe. We'll be back in the days ahead as warranted with the latest weather updates for the national concern, but locally, unless it's for wildfire threats, and I really, really hope not. You know, it's already been a traumatic, you know, last 24 hours almost. I guess a little over 12 at this point. Toward Tallahassee, if you really don't want wildfires to pop up, please, please be careful. Do not burn as we're looking, because, you know, the sparks is what gets those wildfires going, and that, you know, can be something that starts, especially in our far southern counties, be spreading more quickly, and in Central Florida, South Florida as well. So please, please don't burn, you know, in terms of the sparks or what get it going here. The fire concern, it's not like a tornado where it just forms and nothing you can do about it, or a hurricane. Wildfires a lot of times can be caused, whether intentionally or not, by humans, and these conditions are dangerous. So please, please make sure that doesn't happen. As we're looking here, obviously cigarette butts and the like, they need to be made sure that they are not something that are in a spot there that can cause fires, and need to make sure that anything on that's completely put out there. You know, absolutely, absolutely. Don't throw that out the window if, you know, and there's still a spark maybe on that. So that's going to do it. Stay safe. We'll be back here in the days to come. If not warranted for weather concerns or anything like that, we'll be back late Tuesday with another update.